I'm an architect and a real estate developer, so I kind of see things from multiple perspectives. I think neighborhoods right now are one of the things that really need our attention, and Forward SGF has some components of that for neighborhoods. I feel like Springfield has generated a new comprehensive plan, and each neighborhood should have its own little mini comprehensive plan generated. And so that way there's some certainty for neighborhoods and developers around the edges of the neighborhoods. I also think that we really need to be thinking about higher density housing in our city. We do have a housing crisis, and creating more housing opportunities for people, whether it's affordable, attainable, duplex, triplex, whatever they are, we need more. And I think both the neighborhoods and the city have some responsibility in helping solve that problem. Number three, I really think we need to continue growth in our city and the city boundaries, both in the downtown district as well as the arterial corridors. We have the opportunity to grow within our city boundaries and have better economic vitality for our city, both in terms of property tax, sales tax. And those kinds of growth areas and growth patterns would also lead us to a point of being able to have better transit facilities long term. So one of the things I think about here is the experience of the people on City Council and the Planning Commission and how they make some of these decisions. One of the things I'm bringing to the table is my history of working on projects all over the country in multiple cities as an architect, as a real estate developer. So bringing that expertise and experience and broad brushstrokes to the table is very important. I really think each project, each opportunity should be treated with its own unique character and qualities. Sometimes we just look at these projects and look at the numbers and say, yes, this looks good. But I think you have to look at how that project specifically impacts the immediate surroundings. And so using those opportunities to have the conversations about how projects impact their surroundings is really important. We also have a consultant that we've hired from to generate our new land development code kind of talked about this early on in the process. We have a certain boundary and certain number of square feet and certain number of acres within our city. We need to generate the highest crop yield per acre we can in a farmer's format. And that means trying to see what projects provide us the best long-term sales tax and property tax without impacting all the things that we really love about our city. And so again, looking at arterial corridors and the downtown districts, and even within the neighborhoods. Sometimes neighborhoods want to see things happen within their neighborhood for neighborhood services and different things. And so I feel like it's all on the table, and now's the time to be thinking about it. We're at a pivotal moment in our city's growth pattern, and it's time to be thinking more like a small city than a big town. So infrastructure is a whole other conversation, and it seems like the city as an entity has some responsibility in infrastructure. And I feel like one of the things we need to pay attention to, and I'm kind of back to neighborhoods again off of the three questions, there's a common thread through here. Some of our older neighborhoods really need some attention to their stormwater and how they handle that and how it's been handled in the past. Sidewalk improvements, street lighting, some of the things that maybe weren't thought about as much in the past decades needs to be sort of brought up to speed for some of the older neighborhoods. I also think about our clean water system. I know City Utility does a great job of delivering that to everybody, but looking at the infrastructure, looking at the old areas and making sure that that is up to speed and up to date is one part of that water infrastructure that we need to consider strongly, but also we've got to be looking at what our water source looks like. Where do we get our water? What is the watershed, the water quality around our city? And not just around our city at Fellows Lake and some of the other places where we get our water. We got to remember that our water comes from Stockton Lake. And so thinking a little bit broader and bigger picture about water, I feel like we should be thinking about how to protect that in the decades to come. Lastly, I think one of the infrastructure improvements that we need to make is about transit. We just formed a local organization called the Urban Land Institute, and that's all about best practices of how we grow as a city. And one of the things I think we've got a lot of room for improvement on is transit. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be creating more demand for transit and changing the perception of people that transit is not just for poor people. I also think that thinking about our arterial corridors and creating a demand for transit is going to be another part of that conversation.